symbols when the right CV appears on your desktop. Okay, there is no monkey. There is no monkey. But there are online skills tests.
See why more than 250,000 companies in the UK use Indeed for hiring. Visit Indeed.com/try today to try skills tests for free today. Terms and conditions apply.
Psst, parents, it's up to half price on all toys at Sainsbury's right now, so you can keep us occupied this half term and even stock up for Christmas. The Sainsbury's up to half price toy sale ends 22nd of October.
Subject to availability at selected Sainsbury's stores, excluding Centrals and Locals, not available online. Valid 16th to 22nd of October.
At first, we were worried about using purple bricks, but since we sold with them, I haven't been able to stop going on about them, have I, dear?
No, love.
I've been telling everyone. Family, friends, that confused guy at the supermarket.
Yeah, you haven't really shut up about that.
But seriously, did I tell you about our purple bricks estate agent, Michael?
I met him too. He was nice.
We could talk to him whenever. Anything we asked, he could do it.
That's enough now,
He
dear.
was brilliant, always available to chat on the phone.
Enough,
I
Robert.
could email him any time of the day or night.
Purple bricks. You'll be totally sold.
Fixed fee payable on instruction or after 10 months. Viewing services cost extra. See website for more details.
You're a small business owner and there's nothing small about what you do. That's why Dell Small Business Technology Advisors give you trusted advice and tailored tech solutions, like computers with Intel Core processors, servers, storage and networking, plus industry-leading monitors and software. No matter your technology needs, Dell is here to help your small business do big things. Call 0800 085 4878 to speak with an advisor today. That's 0800 085 4878.
If you can drive a van that's built in Britain, with class-leading fuel economy on every run, to Middlesex to do some masonry, or to Tunbridge carrying well over a ton, yours is the all-new Vauxhall Vivaro, and you'll be driving a great Brit van, my son. All-new Vauxhall Vivaro carries British business. To find out more, search New Vauxhall Vivaro.
Broadcasting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Daybreak.
And it's 5:30 on Wall Street. Good morning. I'm Karen Moscow.
And I'm Nathan Hager. Bloomberg Daybreak brought to you by Eisner-Amper. Taxes are one of the certainties of life, but what worked for corporate taxpayers in the past may not work today. Eisner-Amper can help. Visit EisnerAmper.com/tax certainty.
We're just about 4 hours away from the opening of U.S. trading. Let's get you up to date on the news you need to know at this hour. The pound was falling earlier. It has since turned around. There were doubts about a Brexit deal as a summit gets underway in Brussels today. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson's political allies in Northern Ireland said they couldn't support the current framework for an agreement.
The shares of Netflix are up 7.5% in the pre-market. Earnings topped analyst estimates, and the company delivered enough good news, particularly internationally, to allay concerns about looming competition from Disney and Apple.
IBM shares are down more than 4% after the company reported third quarter revenue that missed Wall Street estimates. We get more from Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet.
The long-awaited revenue infusion from Red Hat failed to compensate for continued declines in other parts of its business. Total revenue was $18 billion in the 3 months ending September 30th, down 3.9% from a year earlier. Analysts had forecast $18.2 billion. It marks the fifth consecutive quarter of shrinking sales at IBM, while analysts have been looking for signs that Red Hat, which was incorporated for the first time in those results, would change the narrative. Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, Charlie, thank you. In Europe, shares of Ericsson are up more than 7.5%. The Swedish equipment vendor reported third quarter results that beat analyst estimates. It also raised its sales target for 2020.
On the economic front, industrial production probably dropped in September. Economists say a 0.2% loss, which would be the second decline in 3 months. Bloomberg's Vinny Del Giudice has the story.
The Fed's report tracks output at factories, mines, and utilities, and the General Motors strike will probably affect today's data. Bloomberg Economics estimates the walkout has cut GM production by more than 10%. That drop, in turn, could push total U.S. factory output down by an estimated 0.4%. On Wednesday, the Fed's Beige Book survey said persistent trade tensions and slower global growth are also weighing on America's manufacturers. Vinny Dowd-Judice, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, Vinny, thank you. HSBC may partially exit stock trading in some developed Western markets. Sources say equity sales and trading units in France, Germany, the U.S., and the U.K. are likely to be scaled back. HSBC's Asian equities operation is not affected by the review.
And as we mentioned, the pound turning around. It's climbing as RTE says a Brexit deal has been done. The pound is now up 0.5% against the dollar at 1.2893. Straight ahead, we have the latest world and national news, and this is Bloomberg.
Okay, Karen, thank you. It's 5:33 on Wall Street, and Michael Barr has more on what's going on around the world. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Nathan. There is breaking news. Democratic Congressman Elijah Cummings of Maryland has died. According to a statement from his office, Cummings died at 2:45 a.m. this morning at Johns Hopkins Hospital due to complications concerning long-standing health challenges. Cummings, who was chairman of the House Oversight Committee, was 68. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations is urging Turkey to halt its offensive in northeastern Syria and declare a ceasefire immediately. Kelly Craft said after a closed Security Council meeting on Turkey's military action that the offensive is undermining the campaign to defeat the Islamic State extremist group, endangering civilians, and threatening regional peace and stability. There is a rift now between President Donald Trump and his closest allies regarding Syria. Bloomberg's Ed Baxter has the story.
After the House overwhelmingly rebuked the president's pulling troops from Syria, his closest ally, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and Senator Lindsey Graham parted with his policy on this.
You know, as messy as Syria was, this was working pretty well.
The best bet for the United States is to have a Kurdish-U.S. partnership to continue to keep ISIS at bay, keep their foot on their throat, and to keep Iran out.
And then the president turned on Mr. Graham.
I want to get out of the Middle East. I think Lindsey should focus right now on judiciary.
Later in the day, his meeting cut short as Democratic leaders walked out. Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying it was a Trump meltdown. In San Francisco, I'm Ed Baxter, Bloomberg Daybreak.
The third victim in Saturday's partial collapse of the Hard Rock Hotel in New Orleans has not been located. Authorities have made the difficult decision to move from rescue mode to recovery mode at the construction site. New Orleans Fire Chief Tim McConnell.
Our hearts go out to the family of the people who were lost and to the one individual who we have never actually been able to put our sights on, but all of our indicators have proven that he did not survive this tragedy.
2 other bodies were recovered earlier. Chicago's teachers' strike begins this morning with classes already canceled citywide. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, Nathan.
All right, Michael, thank you. 5:35 on Wall Street. Time for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update, brought to you by Burden Accountants and Advisors. Here's John Stashar.
Nathan, Masahiro Tanaka has been a great postseason starter for the Yankees in 7 starts. He's 5-2, a 1.32 ERA. He's won both his starts this October, and the ERA is under 1. Yanks need Tanaka to keep rolling tonight. Pretty much must win at the stadium. Game 4 of the ALCS with Houston, having won the last 2. Zach Greinke for the Astros in the regular season. Greinke went 18-5. His ERA was under 3, but in 2 postseason starts, 0-2. ERA over 8. This was supposed to be the matchup for Game 5, but last night was rained out, so Game 5 is now tomorrow on what would have been a travel day, and it'll be the Game 2 starters, James Paxton and Justin Verlander. If there's a Game 6 Saturday in Houston, that's when both teams would likely use their bullpens throughout the game. That was the plan for both teams had they played last night. Not known if Giancarlo Stanton can return. He's missed the last 2 games with a groin injury. 3 Yankees in particular need to get going. Gary Sanchez, Didi Gregorius, and Edwin Encarnacion, a combined 3 for 37 in the series. The Angels, in an expected move, hired Joe Madden as their new manager. The Giants only a game out of first place as they host Arizona Sunday, and not only is Saquon Barkley going to return from his injured ankle, tight end Evan Ingram is back from a knee injury. Here's Ingram on Barkley.
I mean, playing with him is already fun. You know, he brings a crazy element to the game. He's a special talent. So getting him back out there, playing at home, front of our fans. It's going to be a really good energy, and it's going to be fun to have everybody out there.
Game 7 begins tonight. Kansas City at Denver. Preseason NBA at the Garden. Atlanta beat the Knicks 100-96. Julius Randle 20 points in the loss. With the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update, I'm John Stashower. Nathan?
All right, John, thank you. It's 5:37 on Wall Street, and European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker now confirms on Twitter that a deal on Brexit has been reached with the UK. He calls it a testament to their commitment to find solutions and a fair and balanced agreement. The pound is spiking on the news now at 1.2944 against the dollar. We'll have much more on the way here on Bloomberg Radio. 5:37 on Wall Street. The latest edition of Bloomberg Business Week is on newsstands now with the cover on Tesla's drive for autonomous vehicles. Also in this week's issue, Juul's legal problems continue as health concerns grow over use of its vaping product. Lauren Etter wrote that story for Bloomberg Business Week.
Early on, Juul laid out a marketing campaign that was pretty much designed to attract kids.
You can read more about this and other stories in this week's edition of Bloomberg Business Week on newsstands now and online at businessweek.com. Terminal customers can subscribe to the magazine at MAG Go, and you can listen to Business Week with Carol Masser and Jason Kelly weekdays at 2 p.m. Wall Street time here on Bloomberg Radio. 5:38 on Wall Street. That's time for the Tri-State Business Report with Bloomberg's Ed Corey. Good morning, Ed.
Morning, Nathan. Some of Greenwich's longest lingering luxury homes have found buyers in the third quarter after their owners agreed to deep discounts. 22 high-end homes were on the market for an average of 261 days before going under contract. That's a jump from 130 days a year earlier. New Jersey labor auditors are investigating Uber and Lyft. They want to find out if those rideshare companies are wrongly classifying drivers as independent contractors and should be on the hook for employment taxes. A Federal Reserve measure of services in New York State tumbled in October, dropping for the first time since the end of 2016. The index of activity at service firms in New York, northern New Jersey, and southwestern Connecticut fell to minus 4.3 from 4.9. That's your Bloomberg Tri-State Business Report. I'm Ed Corey. Nathan?
Much appreciated, Ed. 5:39 on Wall Street, and Bloomberg Radio is on the air from San Francisco to New York, London to Hong Kong. Let's check in with our global news team for some of the top stories heard on our 300 affiliate radio stations around the world.
I'm Steve Podeskin on KNX in Los Angeles. We're looking at quarterly results from Netflix.
I'm Gina Cervetti, and on WHAM 1180 in Rochester, New York, I'm reporting that IBM's third quarter revenue missed estimates.
I'm Roger Hearing on Bloomberg DAB Digital Radio in London. We're reporting on the DUP's statement that they can't back Boris Johnson's Brexit deal.
I'm Courtney Donahoe on KRLD in Dallas. The Federal Communications Commission has approved the T-Mobile Sprint deal.
I'm Andrew O'Day on 1010 Wins in New York. I'm reporting on Barney's New York selection of the rescue buyout bid by Authentic Brands.
I'm Tom Busby, and on WGY in Albany, I'm reporting on New York State lawmakers possibly reclassifying gig economy contract workers like Uber drivers so they get benefits.
I'm Ed Corey on WWJ in Detroit. I'm reporting the General Motors agreement reached with the UAW includes $9 billion in investment in U.S. plants.
And those are some of the stories our 2,700 Bloomberg journalists and analysts are working on this morning around the world. Seems the Democratic Unionists in Northern Ireland may be on board now with a Brexit deal. The EU and the UK are both reporting they have struck an agreement. We're going to have much more straight ahead with Bloomberg opinion columnist Therese Raphael. Get the very latest developments on Brexit. Futures pointed higher as well. This is Bloomberg.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
The lifeblood of tech startups isn't just money. It's executive and technical skills, the kind of skills that companies need to build real products. and the skills that venture capitalist Chris Sugden of Edison Partners sees in the graduates that are coming out of New Jersey Institute of Technology.
The amazing thing about NJIT is their graduates, they have multiple offers on average, not just one. They're coming out with real skill sets that are immediately hireable and available to them. I think we see an understanding by the faculty and administration at NJIT that we've got to train and educate the whole student, not just their, one side of their brain. And I do think that's sort of part of the DNA today. There's practical and there's sort of academia, and merging those two together and understanding that if we're going to have our young people go get great jobs and have great successful careers, they've got to have both sides of their brain activated. And I think we see that with NJIT.
NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. Learn more at njit.edu.
Searching for a more memorable short break? Fly from London Heathrow to Cork from $55.99 each way as part of a return trip with Aer Lingus. Step off the plane and into a warm welcome in Cork. Surround yourself with breathtaking coastal views. Soak up the culture of Cork City, or head to the colourful town of Kinsale and indulge in the best seafood around. Smart enjoys a short break in Ireland. Smart flies, Aer Lingus. Book now at airlingus.com. Offer subject to conditions and availability.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they are the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, who will bang its cymbals when the right CV appears on your desktop. Okay, there is no monkey. There is no monkey. But there are online skills tests.
See why more than 250,000 companies in the UK use Indeed for hiring. Visit Indeed.com/try today to try skills tests for free today. Terms and conditions apply.
Psst, parents, it's up to half price on all toys at Sainsbury's right now, so you can keep us occupied this half term and even stock up for Christmas. The Sainsbury's up to half price toy sale ends 22nd of October.
Subject to availability at selected Sainsbury's stores, excluding Centrals and Locals, not available online. Valid 16th to 22nd of October.
If you're collecting your prescription, don't assume you can claim it for free. Not all benefits entitle you to free prescriptions. And if you claim when you're not entitled, you could face a penalty charge of up to £100. Thankfully, there's a simple way to find out if you should be paying. Search Check Before You Tick online and use our eligibility checker to find out if your benefits mean you can claim for free. Or you can ask your pharmacy team. So always remember to check before you tick. This was brought to you by the NHS.
To advertise the McCafe range from McDonald's, we could use a deep voiceover. Like this. They describe our coffee using words like robust and intense, but said very slowly and with an echo. Robust, robust, robust. Intense, intense, intense. We could do all that.
But we don't. What we do is use freshly ground Arabica beans and organic milk. McCafe. Great tasting coffee. Simple.
News 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in over 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
Complications from a long-standing health issue are being reported as the cause of death of U.S. Representative Elijah Cummings. The congressman has passed away at Johns Hopkins Hospital at the age of 68. Senator Chuck Schumer says Democratic congressional leaders walked out of a briefing with President Trump on Turkey after hearing insults from Trump directed at Nancy Pelosi.
She kept her cool completely, but he called her a third-rate politician.
Syria remains a top concern for lawmakers.
President Trump sticking to his guns when it comes to his decision to pull American forces in Syria, releasing the letter he sent to Turkish President Erdogan, warning him, don't be a tough guy, don't be a fool.
There's Andy Rose. A senior U.S. delegation is in Turkey attempting to work out a ceasefire. A storm system is wreaking havoc on air travel in the Northeast.
Some of the average delays running between 2 to 3 hours.
There's meteorologist Derek Van Dam. I'm John Trout.
If you're at the top of your profession, you're listening.
Are those gains all going to the elite?
Bloomberg Surveillance.
Does it spread beyond manufacturing?
Tom Keene and Jonathan Farrell. Weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Karen Moscow. And U.S. stock index futures turned higher along with European shares as a new Brexit deal was announced and investors digest a string of corporate results. The pound is also surging. We check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. S&P futures are up 12.5 points. Dow futures up 114. NASDAQ futures up 38. The DAX in Germany is up 1% now. 10-year Treasury down 14.30 seconds, yield 1.78%. The yield on the 2-year 1.63%. NYMEX crude oil down 0.2% or 9 cents at 53.27 a barrel. COMEX gold is down 0.33% or $5.10 at 14.8890 an ounce. The euro 1.1120. The yen is at 108.92, and the British pound now up 0.8% against the dollar at 1.2931. We're going to have much more on that Brexit deal in just a moment as Bloomberg Daybreak continues. But first, a check of what's going on around the world. Here is Michael Barr. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Karen. Maryland Representative Elijah Cummings died early this morning. According to Cummings' office, he died at Johns Hopkins Hospital due to complications from long-standing health challenges. Cummings became the powerful chairman of the House Oversight and Reform Committee, leading multiple investigations into President Trump's governmental dealings. Elijah Cummings was 68. In sports, after yesterday's rainout, the Yankees will play Game 4 of the ALCS tonight against the Astros. In the NHL, the Capitals won. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts, more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Bard. This is Bloomberg. Bloomberg Opinion, informed perspectives, and expert data-driven commentary on breaking news.
And it's just before 5:49 on Wall Street. It is time to check in with Bloomberg Opinion. Columnist Therese Raphael joins us from our London bureau on the breaking news. The European Union and the United Kingdom announcing from Brussels they have reached a deal on Brexit. What do we know about this agreement so far, Therese?
Okay, well, as you know, this is just broken, and we are still waiting, as far as I know, for the DUP leader, Arlene, basically putting checks along the Irish Sea, but they had not agreed on a consent mechanism for giving the Northern Irish Assembly a say on these new arrangements, a regular say. So there was still some ways to go. Boris Johnson described it as a distance between the Hillary step on Mount Everest and the summit. So, you know, let's not, let's not jump the gun here. It would be a significant, it would be a significant achievement had they managed to do this in this time, because from the DUP's perspective, they could probably still hold out for a short extension at least and try to get more out of the government. But the DUP also has a very delicate balancing act. They don't want to be blamed for no deal. Their community also needs a deal because Northern Irish farmers will be very much disadvantaged by a no-deal exit. So, they're playing a very delicate sort of balancing game between these various interests.
What more concessions is the DUP looking for, and how would the UK as a whole respond to what the DUP is looking for?
Well, the DUP's blood red line, as they call it, is that Northern Ireland must not be treated differently from the rest of the UK. That is the heart of unionism, and that's what the DUP was set up to to defend. Now, if they've agreed that some kind of customs checks can happen along the Irish Sea, that does seem to cross that line. And the only way they would be expected to sign off on that is if they have an opportunity down the road to somehow change the terms or have a continued consent. And that was what Boris Johnson's proposals offered them, a chance every 4 years to say no. Dublin didn't like that. They said it gave the DUP an effective veto. And so that is presumably what they've been haggling about. And the DUP is, if they're still saying no, not willing to accept the concessions. Now, if Johnson is announcing a deal, that could also suggest that he thinks he will have the votes in Parliament even without the DUP, and that's a little bit hard to see right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, where would he get further support, given where the other parties stand on his terms?
Right. Well, Well, the DUP has only 10 MPs, which doesn't seem like it would be decisive, except their votes are tied to hardline Brexiters in the Conservative Party, at least the 28 so-called Spartans who rejected Theresa May's deal 3 times and would be unlikely to support a deal that didn't have unionist support. Remember, it's the Conservative and Unionist Party, so this is a core value of these Brexiters. On the other hand, it's not impossible that Boris Johnson has convinced enough people to support his deal that he could move on without the DUP. It's very difficult to see that now, but perhaps he feels confident that he's done that. In which case, Arlene Foster might have overplayed her hand and come out without, having not used the maximum leverage that she has. So that all remains to be seen. What seems likely is that we are going to see Parliament sit on Saturday and possibly vote on a deal. Now, it matters whether they're voting on a meaningful vote on the full text of a deal or whether it's, say, an indicative vote on an outline text. All of that we'll have to learn in the course of today.
Obviously, many more developments to come, though, as we head toward that Saturday sitting in Parliament. And in the meantime, the pound continues to rise against the dollar at 129.37. Bloomberg Opinion columnist Therese Raphael, thank you, as always. Read more from Bloomberg Opinion at Bloomberg.com/opinion or OPIN. Go on the Bloomberg terminal. Karen.
Nathan, thank you. Now, other legal news we're watching this morning. The Supreme Court heard oral arguments yesterday in a case that could dramatically change the landscape of immigration enforcement in this country by bolstering the power of the states to prosecute undocumented immigrants for identity theft if they use someone else's social security number to apply for a job. For more on the case, Bloomberg's June Grasso speaks with Leon Fresco, a partner at Holland & Knight, who was formerly the head of the Immigration Litigation Office at the Justice Department.
This is about 3 illegal immigrants who got restaurant jobs using other people's social security numbers. Why is this at the Supreme Court?
Well, it's at the Supreme Court because it is about a more important principle with regard to whether states can take it upon themselves to enforce the immigration law. And what the complication of this case is that the states are saying that they're not enforcing the immigration law, that what they're doing is they're enforcing identity theft provisions that prevent undocumented workers from using the identities of other people in order to get jobs. And what the people challenging these convictions are saying is that no, if the information is coming from the very process that an employee uses to obtain a job and obtain immigration authorization to have that job, then it's something that a state cannot take upon themselves to prosecute. It must be prosecuted by the federal government.
Didn't the Supreme Court deal with this in a case involving Arizona trying to use identity theft laws to prosecute non-citizens for working illegally in 2012?
Sure. So this is where it's complicated, is Arizona passed a broad range of laws that allowed the states to take over the same immigration enforcement functions that the federal government did. And one of them was prosecuting people who work without authorization in the United States. And so that was stricken down. And the question is, because that broad provision that was prosecuting anyone who worked illegally in the United States was stricken down, the question is, what is to happen about this narrow identity theft part of it? Is this to be something that is permitted because any identity theft could be prosecuted regardless of whether you were undocumented or not? Or is it subsumed by the larger holding of Arizona, which is, look, the role of prosecutions in the employment process that have to do with people lying for immigration-related reasons has to be taken up by the federal government, and the states simply are preempted from taking this role.
And that's Leon Fresco, our partner at Holland & Knight, speaking with Bloomberg's June Grasso. Catch more of that interview, plus analysis of the latest legal news by subscribing to the Bloomberg Law Podcast or downloading the show at Bloomberg.com/podcast. And attorneys can find exceptional legal research and business development tools at BloombergLaw.com. And again, the pound is jumping to a 5-month high. Stocks are rising in Europe, futures as well, on news of a Brexit deal. And we will have much more straight ahead as Bloomberg Daybreak continues.
influence.
London, switch to Vodafone, the UK's best mobile network, and Be Unlimited, because the best phones deserve the best network and our new unlimited data plans. The future is exciting. Ready? Vodafone.
Max download speeds apply to unlimited data. Best network as voted by readers of trusted reviews. Terms at vodafone.co.uk/unlimited.
The B&Q 3 for 2 offer is now on, including an unmissable 3 for 2 on all paint, such as Dulux, Valspar and Farrow & Ball. For this show-stopping deal, hurry to B&Q. You can do it when you're 3 for 2 it. Every third item per single transaction in the send-in price order free. Offer ends November 3rd. See DIY.com.
You're 169 in the queue.
I proposed on the 169. She got off for the next stop.
You're my 169th greatest lover.
The number 169 never screamed going places until now. Get the Toyota Aygo X-Play for only £169 deposit, then £169 a month with 0% APR representative. Just go. Aygo.
0% APR representative on new sales of Aygo X-Play over 48 months.